You're looking for a fridge that won't dominate your kitchen, that slips into a tight space, keeps your drinks at the right temperature, and actually feels worth the money, not just a list of specs you never use. The hesitation you feel when you scroll through endless models is real. One wrong size, a door that swings into a countertop, or an appliance that sounds like a dishwasher when you open it, can turn a simple convenience into a daily annoyance. That's why I wanted to spend some time figuring out whether the Summit 15-inch built-in beverage center is the kind of low-profile workhorse that lives quietly in the background, or just another pretty box that looks good on paper. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's put this unit into context. A built-in beverage center is a niche that sits between a full-size fridge and a countertop cooler. It's meant for places that have a little extra cabinet space but not enough room for a standard refrigerator. The Summit model is only 15 inches wide and just 18 inches deep, which means it can fit into the space you'd normally reserve for a dishwasher drawer or a narrow pantry shelf. The stainless steel finish is meant to blend with modern cabinetry, and the commercially approved badge tells you it meets a higher standard for durability, something you'll see in small cafes or office break rooms. Installation is the first practical hurdle. Because it's a built-in unit, you'll need a cabinet opening that matches its dimensions, plus a little clearance for the back ventilation. The shallow depth is a real advantage if you have a tight run of cabinets. You won't have to sacrifice a full-size freezer or a pantry shelf to make room. On the flip side, the unit does require a dedicated electrical circuit, and you'll need to make sure the cabinet can support the weight, about 100 pounds, when fully stocked. If you're renting or not comfortable cutting into cabinetry, you might end up paying a pro to do the work, which adds to the overall cost. What does the day-to-day experience look like? I imagined a typical evening in a small apartment. You've just finished cooking, you want a cold beer or a glass of water without trekking to the kitchen's main fridge. The Summit's door opens with a soft pull, revealing a single shelf that holds roughly 30 standard cans or a mix of small bottles. The temperature zone is set to keep drinks cool without freezing them, and because the unit is designed for commercial use, it runs at a steady, low-noise level. In practice, that means you can open it in the middle of a movie without the hum becoming a distraction, and the motor won't cycle on and off every few minutes like some tiny countertop coolers do. One of the strongest practical points is the way the shallow depth keeps the door swing manageable. In a tight kitchen triangle, a deep fridge door can smack into a prep area, but the Summit's slim profile means the door clears most countertops easily. The stainless steel surface also resists fingerprints better than a glossy white finish, so it stays looking clean even if you're constantly reaching for drinks while your hands are wet. There are trade-offs, though. The most obvious is capacity. At 15 inches wide, you're looking at a modest interior that can't hold a case of 12-pack sodas or a family-sized jug of juice. If your household drinks more than a few cans a day, you'll probably still need to rely on your main fridge for the bulk of the storage. The single shelf design also limits flexibility. You can't adjust the height to fit taller bottles, and you can't add a second tier without removing items. For people who like to store a mix of beer bottles, wine glasses, and even small snack containers, you'll have to be selective about what goes in. Another subtle downside is that the unit doesn't have a built-in freezer compartment. If you were hoping to keep ice cubes or frozen treats handy, you'll need a separate freezer or a separate mini freezer unit. Some commercial beverage centers include a small freezer bin, but the Summit keeps the interior entirely devoted to drinks, which can be a pro or a con depending on your expectations. So, who should consider buying this? If you live in a condo or an apartment where every inch of cabinet space matters, and you enjoy having a dedicated spot for chilled drinks, the Summit fits nicely. It also works well for a home bar setup where you want an integrated look without a bulky fridge, or for a small office pantry where a few drinks need to be on standby during meetings. The commercial approval adds confidence if you run a boutique CAF or a co-working space and need a unit that can handle frequent door openings without overheating. Who might want to skip it? Large families, avid home brewers, or anyone who drinks a lot of bottled beverages will quickly outgrow the 15-inch width. If you need a freezer, a deeper fridge for larger containers.